Welcome to A Voice Shared, which is a series to discuss about people's experience and stories of overcoming bullying. Now, today I have got the very lovely special guest, Caitlin Nash, who is your Miss Diamond Curve Europe. Hello, Caitlin. How are you today?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm really good. Yeah, no, I'm really good. Thank you for having me on to talk about the subject. So it's really important.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. And it is such an important subject, and it's something that I feel needs to be talked about. And yeah, it's wonderful speaking to people like yourself that want to share their experience.
Yeah.
So last year you did do an amazing thing. You achieved so much. You are Miss Diamond Curve Europe, which is fabulous. Congratulations, because
Thank you.
That is, it's absolutely been wonderful to watch you go through your journey. It's a wonderful thing. So obviously with this sort of thing, you know, it does get put into online papers and things, and you said it was in 26 publications all around the world. And can you just tell me a little bit about what happened?
So after winning my first title, obviously being not only a plus size girl, but also the circumstances that I was in as a female taxi driver, which again is another stigmatism that people just assume, that the stereotypes, and a lot of it is down to stereotypes for me. So I wanted to get my story out there when I won the UK title back in 2022. And it had been in my local paper. It had actually been not the story that went kind of viral for a couple of weeks, but I'd had a local piece in my local paper, both in print and online, and it received an amazing response. I was then subsequently contacted by other like online publications and print in just Lincolnshire. It wasn't, although yes, it's nice to get your stories out and it's nice to show that. And with my story, I just wanted people to understand that no matter your circumstances, you can follow your dreams, whether it is breaking that stereotype of the female in a male orientated environment, whether it's career or even just your hobbies. I mean, I myself have a lot of hobbies and enjoy things like motorsport, which you don't always associate as a women's kind of hobby type thing. So to get my story out was a big thing, and it kind of snowballed a little bit. Obviously, shortly after I won in the October, I got it into the local paper. Then literally a couple of weeks later, it was in the Lincolnshire kind of online media. And then I was contacted just before Christmas in 22 by Southwest News Desk, who wanted to feature it. And so I did my interview. I did my phone interview with them, just telling my story of my platform of PCOS and what I overcome with that daily, and just generally my story of going out and achieving my dreams, and people looking at me in a certain way thinking, well, as a lot of people do, you're not a pageant girl, you're not a pageant queen, at the time I'm a bigger girl, but I was proud to have the Curve title. I still am. It's why I took on the Europe title as well after the UK. But to my surprise, January of last year, I suddenly got tagged in an article on Facebook. It was in The Sun. And it was like, wow, oh my God, The Sun's featured me. I was then hit with the title. And obviously the headlines, although Southwest News had everything to do and the rights for everything for the article, the headline could be put in what they wanted, basically. And they started with the headline saying that the headline implied that I'd named myself the UK sexiest taxi driver because I'd won a beauty pageant. And that was nothing to do with the article. And it was then, okay, right, so they featured me, great. Then literally the next day it was the Star, then it was the Daily Mail. In between that, there was local papers like the Coventry Telegraph, the whole Live, I think it was. But the difference is with the Coventry and the Hull, they printed the same article but with different headlines. And the headlines in like the smaller local newspapers were good. It was just about a plus size girl who's a female taxi driver that wants to achieve dreams of walking at like a fashion week, which is something I'd love to have the opportunity to do as a plus size girl. I'm not the model type, don't get me wrong, but if it can show that I can do my dreams. And the hate comments, the trolling comments compared to Shrek, was it judged by a blind person? And oh, what kind of gowns does she make? The fact that she drives a car, she must have a HGV license because there's no way a car would. And it just, the comments were relentless. I think the Daily Mail Australia's post within a day of being up hit 15,000 comments. And reading through them, it was, I mean, I say to a lot of people, the comments don't bother me. I blatantly lied to a lot of people just to get away from it. The comments didn't always bother me, but they did bother me at points. But it was more the headline because it wasn't something I'd said. And I know you do know to come to expect that from the media, but to literally, I thought they'd have twisted something in the article. And what the headline was just blatant. The only truth was that I was a female taxi driver who'd won a beauty pageant. Everything else in the title was twisted. It wasn't even something that was said. And the comments from both women and men, and it was, yeah. And then again, it got shared, 3 weeks ago again, in another, just a like online banter page. They literally just took the photo of the headline and posted that with no backstory. So I faced it all again, but it's made me stronger. It's made me realise about what people's opinions matter or don't matter, as the case may be. But yeah, it was hard to take a lot of it. It was hard to take a lot of it because it was relentless for about a week to 2 weeks last year. And all I wanted to do was inspire other people. And I was basically being torn down by complete strangers. Don't get me wrong, there was plenty of support. I mean, yes, 15,000 comments is a lot when it's looking at it, but you're probably looking at 13,000 that were negative or could be construed in a negative way. And then the rest were positive about what an amazing achievement she's done. If you actually read the article, things like that. And it was hard to take.
Of course. I mean, it must have made you feel, I mean, we're only human, aren't we? And you're going to feel quite bad about these comments. But it is just shocking, and it just kind of highlights that how bad trolling is online. That it is relentless. In so many ways. And a lot of these people, some of them, the accounts are fake and all sorts of things. But it's just, I do think with the media, when they do change headlines, it can be quite damaging because people just look at a headline. They might not read the article properly and they just presume, or they just go along because maybe one person's made a bad comment. And it's like a sheep, isn't it? They might just follow.
Yeah, a lot of it is clickbait as well. People will see things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not one for commenting. I am one for reading a headline and going, oh, that look. And it is the whole clickbait thing. Yeah. And I'll admit that. I'll openly admit that. But I won't go out there to like take somebody else's down. I mean, on every article I found that there was a post on it, I put my piece. And I said, I never asked for the headline. I didn't know about the headline. If you actually read the article, it's not what I'm about. I'm about achieving your dreams and body acceptance. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like 3 weeks ago, the pageant community as well, just stepping up. We actually got that post taken down 3 weeks ago because of people were reporting it. I reported it myself because it was, even though I'd said my piece on it, and I've always said, yes, people are entitled to their own opinion. It doesn't mean that it matters to you. But after going through everything last year and actually just like achieving what I've achieved, because obviously I went to America despite the trolling, which could easily have put me back. It could have took my confidence out that I'm not worthy of standing on the international stage. I wasn't worthy of going to regionals. A lot of the comments could have made me feel like that. And there were some people that I know that some of my friends had commented and said and supporting me, and then because they were then attacked in the comments, some of them removed their comments because they couldn't take it. And I'm completely understand. I'm grateful for the support, don't get me wrong. I'm probably stronger than most, and I don't mean that in a negative way as such, because I'm one of these people that I've done the TikTok lives where somebody's been slating me and this, that and the other, and I've actually turned around and gone, do you know something, while they're picking on me, they're leaving somebody else alone who isn't strong enough to take it. Now, I'm very thick-skinned. It's the background I've grown up with. It's the job I was in as well. Like, you couldn't take things to heart being a taxi driver, because some of the things you'd hear and talk about and things like that, you had to have a slightly thicker skin for it. So I was always of the opinion that while they're focusing their efforts on trying to bring me down, knowing they're not going to achieve it, is they're leaving somebody else alone that might not take it. And obviously in this day and age, if that means that I'm there to be the whipping post to protect other people, then I'm more than happy to. I know it shouldn't be the case, and that should never be the case. Nobody should ever feel that. But I'd rather posts go up about me, because at the end of the day, I'll flick through and I had a laugh trying to see if there was anything original, like something I'd not heard before. But it was one of those that, and I said it in a TikTok live a few years ago as well, when I was getting ready for, I think it was Miss Great Britain. I was in the hotel room, I was getting ready, I was on TikTok live getting ready, had a few of my friends in the comments and watching, and we were like a joint thing, and there was this one guy and he was literally trying to tear me down, and my friends were like, we'll block him. I'm like, no, leave him. If he's if he's got nothing better to do, let him focus his energy on me. He's obviously got something going on that he needs to vent about, or needs to focus his efforts somewhere else. Let him come at me, because while he's coming at me, at the end of the day, I'm going to end that live and I'm going to go and have a good time with my pageant friends. I'm going to go and have a laugh at Miss Great Britain. I'm going to do what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And whereas he's going to have to go back to whatever he does. And it's, as I said on the original post as well, when I put my piece up, let people have their opinions, yes, because I am for freedom of speech. We should be able to have our own opinions on things, because if we were all the same, then the world would be a very boring place, don't get me wrong. But it comes to the whole Be Kind movement after Caroline Flack, and some of that as well. And it comes down to that, if I didn't have that thicker skin and I didn't have that, what would have been, where would I be now? And that scares me. And it literally scares me to think that if I hadn't have taken a different if I'd taken a different train of thought on it and been like, what these people are saying are true, and I'm not worthy of this, and I'm not worthy of doing this, I don't have the right to follow my dreams, where would I be now?
Exactly. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's such an incredible story, and you're an inspirational lady, and we all love you to bits, and appreciate you sharing your story. But there are people that really, really will take this to heart, and it can be so damaging, because at the end of the day, it is online bullying, and
it's bullying, whether it's online or in person. Exactly. It's bullying. And I've seen it across my life. I was bullied as a child for my size. I was bullied as a child for my status. Some people used to say it was like a rite of passage because I was a bigger sized girl when I was younger, I was like a skinny thing until I hit puberty. But it obviously stems down to, now that we know that I've got like PCOS and things like that, and that could stem from me actually having that as a teen, that's the way I am. And it's the way I'm always going to be. And I have my dark days, don't get me wrong. I think everybody does. And there are days that I sit there and I've still got some of those articles. I've still got the posts saved. And I do occasionally sit there and I go through. And some days it'll be like, yeah, they're right. Why am I doing this? But it is a momentarily passive. Actually, no, you then get onto one of the comments. A few girls have said to me that reading my article last year is why they got into pageantry. Some of the newer girls into pageantry. I had messages of strangers like, "Oh, you're just incredible. You've inspired me to go and do this. I want to get back into modelling. I know you say you don't model, but do you have any advice? Do you have any?" And it is a thing that's what gets me through, is you've got that online bullying, and it is so wrong. Like, the bullying, you could face it in the street, you could face it on a phone. It is still wrong on so many levels. But my kind of advice to people is, it's a reflection more on the person that's bullying than the reflection on you.
Completely correct.
And yeah, for especially younger girls, younger boys, just the younger generation. I mean, I was brought up in a different generation. I mean, I'm in nearly in my mid-30s now. I was brought up in a different generation. And yeah, I've grown up with banter, I've grown up with teasing, I've grown up with all of those little things through family and things like that. And people are like, you shouldn't be teased by your family and things like that. That was our family's love language. Everybody's different. But I know for a fact that it's made me the thick-skinned person I am today, so I could take those comments. Yes, never expected it to get to the level it did. You know what I mean? I thought a couple of local papers might pick it up. Never did I expect to see my name across. But the other thing I'll share is the strength of going up against those bullies. So we actually went to the Star, and we went to the Sun, and we went to the Daily Mail, the bigger ones that had started the whole headline thing. Like, I genuinely think if it hadn't have been for those three, it wouldn't have been shared. Having that headline, it wouldn't have been shared as far as it was. But we actually managed to get the Star to change the headline. Mm-hmm. So when you click on the link, although the original link will still have that, but Britain's sexiest taxi driver, when you actually click the link to the article says a different headline. And that to me is an achievement, and that is a step forward for the fight against bullying.
That's good. Yeah, no, honestly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this story, because you are an inspiration. There is no excuse for online bullying. And if anyone has been affected by this, or, this recording or anything like that, there's lots of help out there. I'm going to put lots of information alongside these videos. There's charities like Bullies Out and phone lines that you can call and mind, and all the numbers. If you do need to talk to someone or reach out to a friend, if you can't do that, I will provide all the numbers in the comments of these videos. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.